Yeah, but with that, I mean, because that's like I lost my pops 2 years ago, and as recent as like a week and a half ago, I had like a nightmare where I'm like in my grown man body, you know what I'm saying, like calling out for my pops, and he ain't responding because it's like he ain't there no more, you know what I'm saying? So with you going through that at like 10, then the next 4 years, you had, because you had your moment you mad at God, and you get set off to the program in Montana, and then you have a motto that you were saying you go by now with like the new choices give you new results. And you say you got to feel shit, you got to go through shit to put the work in. If you wouldn't mind, just speak about those moments going through that and the changes, like the Emmy before 10, the Emmy between 10 and 15, and the Emmy now. If you wouldn't mind, just kind of take us through that.
Well, yeah, I feel like, I've had a really not strange, but I have a very different life, from a lot of my peers. I always had a very just different life. And I feel like I was adopted at birth. So I've never met my birth parents, which kind of just makes you different from everybody else unless you meet other kids who are adopted, because everyone looks like their parents. I look nothing like my parents who adopted me. So that always created a very strange relationship between me and my parents, but my dad really always treated me like if I was his own. My mom had her own things really going on. She was just working a lot and just not, different type of person. So when my dad passed, it really shook me for sure. But yeah, it was a lot because I was 10 and I had a dream the night before he passed. I had a dream and a fish came to me in my dream and told me. A fish literally telepathically told me, when you wake up, your dad passed in the night. And I was 10, so I was in my dream, what? Wow. And then I woke up and it had happened. So although it was very devastating, it was kind of also my first experience as a spiritual experience, because I was well, that was very different. This is 2001. People aren't really talking about psychic shit at all. Now everybody kids know about crystals and chakras and stuff, but it was very, I was like, okay, that was strange. And then like you said, very mad at the universe. I claimed myself as atheist. I was I believe in nothing. I was 11 years old telling people that because because I went to a religious school, so I was this shit is fake. And I just growing up in Florida, I feel like your life can always go so many different directions, and you could really get mixed around with bad people. And I really
tell me about it. I just moved away 3 years ago. It was the best thing I could have ever done in my life.
Yeah.
I was in a really cycle of what the hell, because Florida I just feel like it just doesn't have any positive outlet for you. You know what I mean? Especially if you weren't raised in the rich part on the beach somewhere or something. You know what I'm saying? It's hard down there. And I have 4 daughters, so it was very important to move them from there, so they didn't have to do those have that same cycle as me.
Strange thing. It's very strange. And I felt like being around those people, I was finding family in those people, because in my mind, I'm oh, these people are riding for me. Their families are cooking for me. My family wasn't really the family where you eat at the table together. We were just I was just spending a lot of time alone, which I got in a lot of trouble, and then I got sent away.
Yeah.
And getting sent away was just another thing where I was just what the fuck is happening? They come in the middle of the night and you don't know they're coming. They wake you up at 2:00 in the morning. They say, hey, you have to come with us. And I'm it's the first day of summer, fuck you. And they're no.
No, for real, you gotta go.
You gotta go, and you're in our custody. And I was oh my God, life just gets so real. And before you know it, it's you're on a plane. And then I went to one program for 10 weeks, which was in the middle of a forest, and you go backpacking and
hell no.
Yeah, you live outside for 10 weeks, in the country, in Georgia. It was, and then my mom was you still can't come home. My mom at the time was dating my stepdad, who was hella evil as well. And he just, he was really in her ear oh, send her away, send her away, send her away, because he was low-key an abuser. So when I got older and learned about abusers, and your abusers separate you from everyone that loves you, so they can take
children and all if they can.
They did, and he did. And he got in my mom's brain, and I went to the program in Montana. But it was crazy because all those in that experience, I had more spiritual experiences. I had an experience where literally I heard a voice in my head tell me to move my tent in the middle of the night. I'd already made my tent, flattest ground I could find, whatever. right before I fall asleep, a voice is like, move your tent. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, like I'm already in my sleeping bag.
Right.
Voice, right?
I don't feel like doing that.
It's like, move your tent, move your tent. So I was like, all right, whatever. And like, even feel like the force that moved it wasn't even me, because I can, you know, and as a kid, you're lazy. You're like, shut up, you know, like, I don't want to do this. Move my tent. Come to find out, middle of the night, a tree got struck by lightning, and the tree that got struck by lightning was the tree that my tent was on before, and the tree had fallen right where my tent was. On my life.
I got the chills hurt.
And that was that whole day I sat in silence. I didn't even know what to say or what to think. I had just turned 15. Like, I was
experiencing that as a kid. It's like
in the middle of the forest. I'm like, what the hell is happening? Like, I'm like, you know, like and it was hard because there was not really anyone you could talk to about this type of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It was hard. It was, and then
nobody would identify with it either.
Yeah, you don't even know how to explain what's happening. And, it was, you know, and then I went to the other program and I was very defiant, was in trouble until I finally like got it. You know, I hated being told what to do. I just always hated that my whole life. Like, I just wanted to do, like, I just knew I didn't know what I wanted.
Was it one of those things where you're like almost smarter than the adults? Because I went through that.
That way, but I could
went through that.
Yeah. Like, I was 14 with my own cell phone plan. Like, I had finessed, like, Metro to like sign me over a phone that I like, you know, like I was very smart. My mom like took my cell phone away, and then when she sent me away and found my other phone, she's just like, something's wrong with you. Like,
right.
no telling me no. And I feel like, you know, in a way, maybe it was good I got sent away, because that untamed is very dangerous. Like, I could have been in dangerous situations, you know, like, you know, growing up in Florida, like, we were in stolen cars, you know, I've been in situations where people are breaking into houses, and where, you know, like, I was just there because these are my people, but necessarily, you know, that's not my truth, obviously. But I was so easily influenced and so ready to just jump, so brave, because I hadn't really learned, like, I wasn't scared to lose anything, you know.
Yeah.
You probably, you know what? You probably felt like you had nothing to lose.
Exactly. And that way I was just like, whatever. And, you know, that was like a thing until after my 18th birthday, because, you know, my mom passed when I was 17. And so that was another hit after the program. And I was just like, what's happening? Like, what is happening? What is actually happening? Because I don't understand. And then my stepdad's like, yeah, you got to figure out something. And then I was just out in the world, 17, after going through all this stuff, no parents, no bread.
I was ready to go.
Yeah.
17, ready to go.
Like,
all right, let me go. Let me figure this shit out.
Right. Because no one can tell me, and I had to learn a lot of hard lessons. Like, I've learned a lot of fucking stuff that no one could tell me, even though part of me in the moment wished that I would have listened, but I just had to learn those lessons so I could become, you know?
Yeah. You had to go. It's something, I feel like that's like God taking us on the scenic route. It's something you got to see.
Wow, I love that.
Because it's like, because he about to take you somewhere, and it's like, you got to know why it don't make sense to double back. Or it might be like, man, it's flashy, but there's a lot of fireworks going on, this, that, and the third, and you like, damn.
Because when you think back,
if you done already been over there, you know, like, nah, it's that bullshit over there.
Like what you learned today, if you think back, could I really had known that?
Right.
You're right.
Nothing around you. My mom wasn't telling me this. My dad, you know what I mean? Like, it's so much. You can look back and be like, but there was nothing around that could have told me what I know today. So it's like, there's got to be a reason why I went through what I went through. Has to be a reason. You know what I mean?